Hey there, Mr. Sutton here, bringing you the IM3 Honors Chapter 1, Quiz 2 Extra Practice Solutions on Piecewise Function Review. For all of these problems, we're given piecewise functions and a few things to plug into them. So let's start this one off now. So for all of these, the strategy is going to be kind of the same. We're going to take whatever input value, x value, that they're giving us. We're going to use that with these different rules over on the right side to see which branch of the piecewise function we actually are using, and then we'll plug the x value into that formula, whatever it is. So for example, f of 3, that means we're using, let's see, since 3 is greater than or equal to -2, we're going to be using this second rule. So we're going to plug 3 into -4 to the extent that's possible. But we can't really do anything except return -4 because there's no x to actually plug it into. So if you just have a constant function, you just return that without worrying about the plug-in. Otherwise, you plug it in for x and do it out. So for this next one, f of -4, -4 is less than -2. So we're going to use this first rule here. We're going to do -4 plus 5, which simplifies to +1. And then finally, -2. -2, that's on the border. That's actually in the second rule because it's greater than or equal to -2, so that covers that case. So we just return -4 for that. For number 2, we've got a new piecewise function. First, we're plugging in -2. So looking at my rules here, we've got the first rule is for x less than 1, and the other one is greater than or equal to 1. -2 is less than 1, so we're using this first rule. So we've got 2 times -2 plus 1. 2 times -2 is -4. -4 plus 1 is -3. On to the next, we have f of 6. Since 6 is greater than or equal to 1, we're going to use the second rule. So -2 times 6 plus 3. -2 times 6 is -12. -12 plus 3, -9. And then finally, f of 1, that goes in the greater than or equal to 1 part of this. So we're using the second rule. We've got -2 times 1 plus 3. That's going to be -2 plus 3, which is +1. For number 3, we have a couple more piecewise functions. This time around, we have less than or equal to 2 and greater than 2 as the dividing line. So plugging in -4 for this first one, -4 is less than or equal to 2, so we use the first rule. -2 times -4 minus 4. -2 times -4 is +8. 8 minus 4 is 4. Now we have f of 8. That is greater than 2, so we use the second rule. 4 times 8 minus 9. That's 32 minus 9, which is 23. And then finally, f of 2, right on the border, we use the first rule because that has the equals to. So -2 times 2 minus 4, that's -4 minus another 4, which comes out to -8. So for number 4, we're upping the ante a little bit. Now we have a piecewise function with not 2, but 3 different branches to keep track of. So let's look at f of -1 to start us off with here. So f of -1. -1 is between -2 and +4. So we're actually going to use the second rule. So that's 2 times -1 minus 1. That's going to be -2 minus 1, which is -3. Next up, f of -4. -4 is less than or equal to -2, so we're in this first branch. That's going to be -4 minus 1, which comes out to -5. And then finally, f of 5. 5 is bigger than 4, so this last branch is going to be the one we use. -3 times 5 plus 8 is what we're doing. That's -15 plus 8, which comes out to -7. For number 5, we're back down to just 2 rules in this piecewise function. The first rule is for less than or equal to -1, and the other is greater than 1, -1. So f of -4, we're in the first rule, the less than or equal to -1. For this one, it's actually a pretty easy rule to follow. When you plug in the number, you automatically get whatever you plugged in because you're just returning whatever x was. So this one just comes out to -4. Next up, f of 0. 0 is greater than negative 1, so we're doing negative 0 plus 4, which is just going to be 4. And then finally, f of 3, also bigger than negative 1, so using the second rule, now we've got negative 3 plus 4, which comes out to positive 1. Now we're on to the final boss battle, back up to 3 branches, and this one has a fraction in it, so that's going to be a little bit interesting. Negative 4 is less than negative 2, so we're using this first branch, which just returns the constant 5. 8 is bigger than 6, so we're using the last branch, negative 2 times 8 plus 10. This is negative 16 plus 10, which is negative 6. And then finally, negative 2, that is in the second rule because we're doing negative 2 less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 6, so it's just barely in that second rule. So we've got 1/2 times negative 2 minus 6. Half of negative 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 6 is negative 7. So that was the last one. That's it for this piecewise function review. Hope it made sense for you. Until next time, this is Mr. Sutton signing off.